Early records of treating mental health in the Muslim world. The Great Intersection. Imagine walking down a bustling street in a major city during the golden age of Islamic history. Places like Baghdad, Cairo, or Damascus. Remember that the first hospital in the Muslim world, founded in Damascus in 706, was a place of holistic care, where specialized departments and advanced care laid the foundation for today's healthcare systems. In those days, on one corner, you would typically see a madrasa, a bustling college. Right next to it is a bimaristan, a state-of-the-art hospital. And just a few steps away is a zawiyah, a quiet Sufi spiritual lodge. These buildings weren't just close to each other by accident. They were physically and intellectually connected. Back then, if you were struggling with your health, whether it was a physical fever or deep emotional distress, you didn't have to choose between a doctor, a philosopher, or a religious scholar. Why? Because during the Islamic Golden Age, these worlds were completely intertwined. Even though psychology didn't exist as a separate word or field yet, Muslim thinkers were experiencing a massive explosion of ideas regarding human behavior, emotions, and what they called ilaj al-nafs, the treatment of the soul, or tadib al-nafs, the reformation of the soul. The all-in-one physician. So, who were the doctors treating you? Well, physicians back then weren't just only checking your pulse. They were deeply trained in theology, philosophy, and law. They looked at a patient and didn't just see a physical machine. They saw a whole human being. As many contemporary Muslim scholars, such as Dr. Rania Awad Houman Keshavazi, Dr. Nazila Iskandarova, a modern expert in Islamic spiritual care, point out that this historical approach is rooted in a beautifully holistic view. Human beings were seen as an integrated composite of three parts: the physiological body, the psychological mind, and the spiritual soul, or ruh. Because of this, doctors worked side by side with legal scholars and spiritual guides. If you were stressed, a doctor might offer you religiously oriented psychotherapy. If your condition was severe, they would refer you to a specialized hospital. But if you needed deep peace, they might send you to a spiritual lodge. And here is the most surprising part. Most mental health care happened right in the community. People only went to big institutions during times of extreme crisis. For everyday struggles, you visited local doctors or spiritual practitioners who knew you and your family. The giants of the mind. This collaborative environment sparked a historic conversation among some of the greatest minds in history. Brilliant scholars like Al-Razi, Al-Balkhi, Al-Makki, Farabi, Ibn Sina, often known in the West as Avicenna, and Al-Ghazali were engaged with scholars in their field, either in public debates or by writing constant letters and books to one another. They debated everything from raw medicine to deep metaphysics. They wanted to understand how our physical senses, our human reason, emotions and feelings, and our spiritual hearts connected. A prime example of this is a famous 9th century polymath named Abu Zaid al-Balkhi. He wrote a revolutionary book called The Sustenance of the Body and the Soul. It is literally one of the first known manuscripts in human history to argue that mental disorders need the exact same care and respect as physical disorders. Al-Balkhi showed that if your soul is sick, your body suffers, and if your body is sick, your soul suffers. Conclusion: the lesson for today. Now, why does this history from centuries ago matter to us today? This history gives us what she calls an integrative approach. In the modern world, we often separate psychology from spirituality. We go to a clinic for our mind, a hospital for our body, and a house of worship for our spirit. But the early Muslim world showed us a different path. They viewed illness not as a punishment, but as an opportunity for spiritual growth, self-purification, and healing. They proved that clinical science and spiritual care don't have to be enemies. In fact, they work best when they live in the exact same neighborhood. So the next time we think about mental health, let's remember the lessons of the Bimaristan and the spiritual lodges in the Muslim world. To truly heal the person, we must care for the body, mind, emotions, and soul at the same time. Thank you.